Welcome once again to the Rugby Tipsters Six Nations preview show. We're looking ahead to round three. Jon Callard, as always, the former England coach and player, will be joining us to cast his eye over the fixtures. But first, Jon will do a little recap as to where the teams are at after the first two rounds. Jon, firstly, let's just talk about the championship as a whole. Have you been impressed by the rugby on show?
I think so. I've been very impressed by the rugby on show. I thought the last round was a fantastic contest. Wales and Scotland game was a thriller, accentuated by the red card, obviously. I thought England bubbled up nicely. Italy would be ruining their opportunities, i.e. they kicked too much ball to England, who went on the counter-attack. And I thought Ireland huffed and puffed against France, but again, France just doing enough to win the games. So if we were just saying England were better, much better their performance, had much more identity in their attack and be looking to build on that. Scotland, we said the red card was undoubtedly a factor in that game. France, well, my analogies, and I'm sorry if I use analogies, they're just like a slow tractor turning the soil at the moment. They're just preparing for something bigger and better along the line. There's more to come from France. There's definitely more to come from France. Wales, undoubtedly the fighters of the contest so far, living off scraps and limited possession, but managing to win games. Ireland, well, you can see Paul O'Connor's influence already. Their ball winning is exceptional at the line out and at the scrum, 100% in both games, but their ball usage, i.e. where they're using the ball in the game, they get lots of possession, but not great territory. Thus suggests to me that they're not playing in the right areas of the game. And then you've got Italy. Well, I have got grounds of optimism for Italy because, as we said, it was going to be a tough ordeal, but they had two chances and scored two lovely tries against England, shocked England early on. But I'm sorry, again, another analogy with Italy. They are creating nice dishes, but unfortunately, they're giving away too many free meals.
Yeah, they've passed up too many opportunities, haven't they? Sorry, that's terrible. You mentioned red cards before you can come back at that one. You mentioned red cards. That's been a real theme, hasn't it? Two red cards in the Six Nations, and then this weekend there'd been two red cards in the first 9 rounds of the Gallagher Premiership, and then we had, what was it, 5, I think, over the weekend.
5 over the weekend.
Yeah,
2
incredible.
In the Bath Gloucester game, and then 3 in the Leicester Wasps game.
Yeah, I mean, that's really dictating the course of matches at the moment, isn't it? This new, not new tackle directive, but this clampdown on the contact to the head.
And fair play to the officials. Sorry, I just lost a little bit of light there. Fair play to the officials for being robust, and action has to be taken. We want to make the game safe for the players. We want to make it safe for people watching to let their sons and daughters play the game. So it's the right course of action to take. Is it swaying games? You could arguably say that it's favoured Wales twice with the 2 red cards that have been not in their favour. I don't like using that, but that's gone against the opposition teams, and Wales have capitalised. If it's the right thing in the game, we've got no arguments, i.e. if they're shots to the head and people can't defend themselves, then they're the right. There's no discussion. There's no arguing about it. And may I say, long may it continue. But one other thing I'd like to say with that is that the way the referees are dealing with the red cards brilliantly, I just wish they would step down on a little bit of dissent and some of the back chat that's going on the moment as well. We are blessed with our game. We're renowned our game being a gentleman's game, so to speak, and having the respect and honour for referees and officials. I hope that referees will come out and be a little bit harder on some of the back chat that's going on in the games at the moment.
Right, without further ado, let's focus on the matches coming up this weekend, after a fallow weekend, of course. And we're going to kick off in Cardiff. Wales obviously played at Parky Scarlets during the autumn, but they're back in their capital base without a massive crowd, of course, or without any crowd, which is a real shame because having been to Wales England fixtures in the past, it really is a cauldron and it really is a unique experience. You actually played in Wales, so you'll know about this rivalry better than anyone, won't you? This Wales England rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got a good friend in Wales, and they say if they only win one game, every year, it's got to be the English game. And then they'll be known as the Invincibles. That's how they look at this game against England. And it is, you're right, it's a shame that we don't have that crowd there, because I know the English love going there to follow their team as well. It's a fantastic stadium, a fantastic atmosphere. Unfortunately, it's not to be. But I know the players on the field will deliver a feast for us.
Looking at the game and how it might pan out, Wales have tackled their absolute hearts out, haven't they, in the first two games? They've had to, being starved of possession, even though they've had the man advantage. Now, for me, I don't know whether you'll disagree or not, England, although they improved, as you said, against Italy in attack, they are still fairly predictable. And do you just see that Welsh red wall smashing them back time and time again, and England getting frustrated and giving penalties away?
Well, on paper, let's cut to the chase. On paper, you would say England should win this game. But there's other factors that go into that. As we talked in the last round about human emotion and passion that comes to the game. You're right, Wales have tackled their hearts out. I think in one of the games, it was over 234 tackles against Ireland they put in and still come out winners. Okay, so it suggests to me that Wales will live on that, keeping the ball in play and tackle, 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 and wait for the mistakes. If you want to add some more stats to that as well, England in the last game respectively gave away 17 penalties, or they've 17 and 13 respectively in their last two matches. That's quite a lot of penalties to give away, possession to give back to the opposition. Also, their turnover counts as well was quite high. It was up to about 11 turnovers in the last game. So if England are giving away 17 penalties, for argument's sake, and 11 turnovers, that's 28 bits of possession that they're giving back to the Welsh. So giving them a chance to keep them in the game. So I suspect that Wales will want to keep it fluid, i.e. keep the ball in play and tackle in field and keep on tackling, tackling, tackling. And I think maybe, because this is where England will certainly have the upper hand, is their scrum and line-out stats are far superior than Wales, and they'll probably might want to play a set-piece game.
Yeah, it could be a real contrast of styles then. One other factor as well about, you talk about giving up possession, England's passing was pretty atrocious against Uruguay.
Yeah, and really not under any pressure at all. And when we talk about the Italians, we said they were going back, and I don't think Wales will do this. We'll go back 20 yards to kick the ball 60 yards, and you've only got a 40-yard kick. So England were also filling the field, what we call supporting the space, whole across the field, pass, 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 and making it very, very easy to go past the Italian defence, because then they narrowed them up and then went wide again. I don't think Wales will do that. I think their kicking game, they can get much longer, they can compete. People like Bigger, Halfpenny, and even this boy, the new sensation there, Reece Zammit, he can even put boot to ball, and make some fine yardage in it. So I think personally, yes, I don't think that England will be in that position to spill as much ball as and get away with it.
So do you think it'll be England's set-piece game that comes out on top, or the tackling dervishes from Wales?
Well, the tackling folk will have a hard day, I think, because if we remember rightly, we talked about how England missed Sinclair in the first round. He'll be a big loss against Scotland. Came back against Italy, magnificent in the scrum. His bits and pieces around the park with excellent, and his defence. So I'm thinking if they get the set piece right and drive hard at them and ask questions, and then get this second, third wave, the Vinipolas, the Atogis, the Sinclairs in the game, I think Wales, yes, they will tackle their hearts out, but I think the ferocity of those carries just might break them.
England by 1 to 5 or bigger than that?
This is going to be a close game because of what's at stake. I think this is a defining game of the tournament. So I think it is definitely going to be one score at least.
Okay, yeah, Wales follow up with a trip to Rome to play Italy, and then a trip to Paris for what could be a Grand Slam decider if France deliver in round 3 against Scotland. And it is a big if now, following the withdrawal of around about 2/3 of their team because of positive COVID tests. They've overcome adversity before, and they've overcome players not being available before in the Autumn Nations Cup. But will Scotland be a different kettle of fish, and can Scotland record a rare victory in Paris?
Potentially, you'd think the cards have fallen in their favour. But, and this is what makes it a big but for me, is that France experimented, and they had to in the Autumn Nations Cup. They came to Twickenham in that final against a very experienced England side with what they called their 13 players. I didn't see it that way, by the way, and put on one heck of a show against England. And let's be honest, France should have won that game apart from two, let's say, indifferent decisions late on in that game. It's gone, it's happened, but France should have won that game, okay? So they've been buoyed by that experience and will be not fretting at all about any other players they have to bring in, because they've used the Autumn International to bring those players in. So that's why I'm thinking that France will be too strong for Scotland in Paris.
Yeah, the chat across the channel with a few people I know there is that the midfield pairing would be Gael Fickou, who's playing out of his skin at the moment, and Jonathan Dante. He was one of the players that played in the Autumn Nations Cup, and he's a massive presence. So if that's your third choice centre pairing, it's still on paper better than Scotland's first choice, especially with Cameron Redpath out.
Well, we can argue about that with the Scottish, saying it's better than their first choice. That's not my comments. That was yours, John. And also, Jalabert is still there at outside half. Seren, who was on the bench, Baptiste Seren, the scrum half, captained France through that tournament, or part of that tournament. So he's got bags of experience to come on. And you've got Penaud, who's flying, Teddy Thomas to come off the bench.
Bouthier back at fullback.
And Thomas Ramas and Bouthier, both extremely adventurous runners, have got a fantastic opportunity to gel and ignite. I think it'll be a tough ask for Scotland. But what might give me hope for Scotland is that France have lived off scraps, even though they've been coasting. I mean, lived off scraps. The possession is very, very low, but their territory is high, i.e. they're playing in the right positions. No one's really frustrated them at the moment. Not even Ireland really frustrated in that sense. I think if the Scotland hustle and bustle and get in their faces, so to speak, and put them under pressure, that might be Scotland's hope. And I've got to mention this. I don't know whether he's going to play or not, but he's in the squad. Is Josh Bayliss, come up from Bath, who's in the Scottish squad. And I think he is an ideal replacement for the Scottish back row. If you watch him play for Bath, he marauds around the place. He's one of those irritable players who gets over you, gets around you, has got pace, is in your face. And he's the type of person that you could unleash against the French to sort of disrupt them and just rile them up a little bit. So be interested to see what happens there.
For me, it has the look of a high-scoring game, but how do you see it?
I think it'll take a bit of time to break down, and then I think we'll just get into a bit of a pattern late on. I can see France winning this comfortably, maybe 2 scores and 2 converted tries, so to speak. 2 converted tries, I can see them winning this one.
Yeah, so France by 11 to 15 points then potentially.
Yeah.
Then it's on to the first game of the weekend. Italy up against Ireland. Italy have lost 2, Ireland have lost 2, but obviously you'd expect Ireland to win this game. They've only ever lost to Italy once, that was back in 2013. Italy, though, have shown signs, haven't they, of promise, that long-awaited Six Nations win. I think it's, what is it now? We're up to about 29 games?
29 games, 30 games.
Yeah, we're pushing 30 games now without a Six Nations win. Can they break that this weekend?
Well, this is the game where the pressure is all on one team, and there's no pressure on the other team here. To be honest with you, I've got to say all the pressure is on Ireland to perform. There's questions being asked about Ireland, what they're doing. I think Paul O'Connell is a massive, massive bonus to them. You can see that already. To get his line out functioning the way he did against France, they were able to steal ball three times disrupted the French ball. And also you could say that the pressure he put on for their only try, the France try, Ronan Kelleher's try, where it bounced down and went, was a bit fortuitous for Ireland, but in that sense, the pressure of the line out put it in there. So I think this is going to be a tough afternoon for the Italians in terms of ball winning and using their own ball. It's a shame, really, because I feel there's some people out there that will agree with this, but I feel that they have made progress in this tournament. The tries that they've scored against France and England, respectively, have showed their development as attacking team. It's just that bit of game now. It's a bit about that game management and how to manage the game when you're under pressure that Italy are lacking. And as I say, if Italy kick as poorly as they did against England, then I think Ireland will run out comfortable winners.
What, over 20 points, the margin, or?
Yes, I think so. But it'll be late. It'll be late in the game that happens.
Yeah, one thing for Italy is it's crucial they get off to a good start, because you always get the feeling, don't you, if they concede a couple of early scores, then it's almost like you can see them thinking it's inevitable, we're going to lose this game again, and the wheels come off a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the point I try and make about their game management and their understanding how to construct their way up the field. It's all bust or nothing. I mean, as we said, and I repeat myself, you just can't pass the ball 20 meters back and then kick it 60 meters because it's only a 40-meter kick. You know, if Italy want to go further a little bit with their kicking game, start kicking off 9 a little bit more. I don't know if they've got that, even though I'm a big fan of Varney. I think Varney makes things happen for Italy, even though he's, third choice at Gloucester in the Premiership?
Yeah, he's only played something like 8 Premiership games, yeah.
I mean, he adds a bit of tempo, he brings runners on, he picks and goes, he's got a good service on, he adds a little bit of speed to the game. I wish they would kick a little bit more off 9. And also I think, and this goes for Scotland as well, just my observations, by the way, is that if they got a left footer in the back division, it gives you more options with your kicking game. Not just to kick long and play one pass out and kick, but just a little bit more adventurous with the kicking game. You can pass on the left side and just roll it through. I wish that Italy and Scotland, those two there, would just find somebody with a left foot that could add to their kicking game.
I think one thing we can be certain of is if we have a repeat of some of the finishes that we saw in round 2 and round 3, then we're in for a treat, because I think you alluded to it earlier, Louis Rees-Zammit, Johnny May with his flying try, which I still question the legality of, but that's by the by. At least there were plenty of talking points, and I'm sure there will be more this weekend as well, which I look forward to discussing with you next week.
Cheers, John. Real pleasure.